Okay. Today for joining us. We're very excited to have our guest speaker, Jack Shaner, here with us to give us a refresher on advocacy and lobbying. If you were with us at our last state convention, Jack Shaner was also very popular with especially all of our folks who are active in lobbying and advocacy. So we've brought him back today, getting ready for the infamous lame duck session. Not going to take too much time. I just wanted to give a brief introduction about Jack. He is a veteran policy and government affairs professional with deep experience building winning legislative and communication efforts for high-profile clients and elected officials. Mr. Shaner was a former deputy director for a leading environmental advocacy network and a policy director for a state legislative caucus. He has experience in all facets of government affairs and NGO management, including strategizing and executing policy, communications, and fundraising plans, and advising executives and leaders. Before I hand the mic over to Jack, I just want to politely ask everybody to mute yourselves and just a few house rules before we get started. Jack has asked that we try to make this interactive so that it will be as beneficial and positive experience as possible for everybody. Alice, how many people do we have in the meeting so far?
64 right now, 2 more coming in.
Okay. So 64 people is quite a few folks, and we had upwards of 90 people registered. It's going to be very chaotic for us to all unmute ourselves because the sound will get very difficult. So the way that we will handle this, if you would like to participate in the conversation, we will try by letting people unmute themselves. You know, I'm sorry, I have a baby in the background. We'll take care of that momentarily. Just be conscious of the noise and go ahead and mute yourselves as soon as you are done talking. We'll see how that goes, and we might update as we go along. If you have questions, please put them in the chat room and we'll address them as Jack wants to, either as we go along or at the end of the talk. And Jack, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nazik. Afternoon, everybody. Great to be here. And Nazik, please feel free. I probably won't be checking the chat. So if you see an important question you think we should address immediately, please jump in and tell me, and I'll try to jump on that. Hey, it's a real honor to be here, everybody. I had the pleasure to work with the League of Women Voters for years at the Ohio State House. Spent some 30 years trolling the halls of the State House, first as a staffer and then leading efforts of the Ohio Environmental Council. I don't claim to be an expert on anything. I've got a lot of experience. I can tell you a lot of ways not to do it, but today I'm going to share some good tips and techniques of how to be effective in understanding the political animal, how to help advocate that they do the right thing. And I just want to say again, it's a lot of fun to be here. I can be on as long as an hour. I think we only advertised this half an hour. I don't know why I think I can use fewer words than I ever have. I use too many words, I know that. But I hope we're going to give you some good tips and techniques. And feel free to jump in with questions here. I want to emphasize that I'll be referencing, legislation, and my purview was the State House. But I want you to know what I'm going to share today, I hope, is very transferable. That is, not just the Ohio State House, but Congress or your city council or your city hall, and not just legislatively, but executive actions by a mayor, by a department, by an agency, and beyond government. You may be trying to advocate for a policy change of a corporation or whatnot, or your school, or all manner of things. So I hope these tips and techniques I'm going to share are transferable, whether it's government or non-government, legislative or non-legislative. And I want to share too, these are these are lessons that have been imparted to me. I wasn't smart enough to think about them. And they come from the School of Hard Knocks. And if anybody ever heard of this book by Colin Powell, the title is It Worked for Me in Life and Leadership. So these were, I didn't get very far reading the book, I'm sorry to say, but the things I'm going to share are things that work for me. Maybe they won't, maybe they will help you, maybe they will not. I think most of them will help you. We're going to show a couple video clips here, keep it a little light. We've got some lighthearted ones, and then we've got some kind of heavy duty ones too. We're going to show those. So let's get rolling here. And I'm looking at my notes here. If you think, why isn't Jack looking right into the camera? Well, I'm looking off stage at my notes a little bit. That's what's going on. I got a couple cats, used cats from the Humane Society that Peggy and I have that might rumble through the screen here. So I hope you'll enjoy those. Let's just break the ice here with a little video. Nazik, if you'd cue up. This is classic. This is exactly how a bill becomes a law. It's like 30 seconds, and this is just exactly the way it always goes. Take it away there, Nazik. Well, we got video. We're hoping to get audio too here. Hopefully these clips will, okay, here we go. Oh, we've jumped to the second one here. Okay, well, are you all able to still hear me? Can somebody?
Yes.
Alice, is that a yes, Alice?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
I
you
can
fine.
hear you.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties. We're going to try to get back to you on that. It's the funny clip if firefighters ruled, and if you're able to still keep working to get that going, Nazik, that would be great. But we've all heard the classic, a bill which is an idea for a law, of course, gets introduced, gets hearings, gets amended, gets passed into law. And sometimes that's exactly the way it happens. Often it's a more torturous route, and it can take.
So I'm sorry,
Is that Nazik trying to update us?
Yes, I think she's having an internet connectivity issue.
Okay, we will just keep going here. I assume is everybody still with us, Alice?
Everybody is still with us, yes.
Okay, we're going to keep going here. And just please let Nazik know, and I don't know if she can hear us. Maybe you want to text her. Just let her know she can cut in at any moment with that.
Okay, I'll let her know, thanks.
Yeah, just tell her jump in. No need to interrupt. No need to let me know or whatever. So I want to share a really brief anecdote. Looks like our video may be loading here, which is fine. Tell you what, I'll just keep going until that. Can people still hear Alice until that goes? Okay, I'll just keep talking until that jumps in here. So I want to share one of the first. Oh, here we go. We have no audio though. I assume Nazik is well aware we have no audio, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is a funny clip, and you can see it's all firefighters that are making up the Congress or whatever here. And there's the chief, and he's just very brass tacks, and he's saying, do we need a lot of pages? What's up?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry. I was having some technical difficulty. Hopefully we can make it work this time. Sorry, Jack. Let's try it again.
Great, let's do that. Here we go. Just a little more volume. Hey, Nazik, is there a way to get more volume? We can hear it, but it's really faint. See, folks, this is the first lesson. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong, right? You all know that. Be prepared. Nozick, if you're able to try it again with more volume, that'd be fantastic.
Unfortunately, that's as loud as it'll go.
And what if you tried holding your phone up to the speaker? Would that make any difference?
If I could suggest that we move on, because
Sure.
it's in the chat and everyone can watch it on their own, which I just did, and it is very funny.
Okay, good point there. I appreciate your sharing that. Hey, I do want to share, this just came to mind. I took a class once on canoeing, and I remember the instructor was very adamant that you may be heading toward a obstacle. In this case, it was like a downed tree, and he's like, just keep, back paddling, trying to slow yourself and move away from that thing, or at least make the crash as minimal as you possibly could. So that's a tip, that's a technique that we've just, talked about here. Hey, I was just like, hey, can you hold your phone up to the microphone? Anything we can do to salvage this? So you're gonna have to be resilient, right, as advocates here. But I want to share, June Lucas was, and that terrible old phrase, homemaker, from Cincinnati, Ohio. This is way back in 1982 when I started my little career at the Ohio State House. And she had, she'd never been to the State House. She didn't know boo about politics or about the legislature or the government. And she took on the trial lawyers and the judges and the prosecutors and the hospitality industry, restaurants, bars, and she ended up making a huge change in Ohio law. And this was when Ohio and other states across the nation were criminalizing drunk driving and really getting tough on drunk driving, and minimum mandatory jail term, or if not, then sentenced to, they'd have to get people, first-time offender would have to take a remediation class. And it wasn't just this June Lucas, it was all kinds of mad mothers. You probably are familiar with them, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. The point was, these are just citizen lobbyists like you. And they got involved and they helped make a big change in policy. And it took a lot of effort, but a couple lessons to learn from this. And I don't know, it sounds like, I had another video clip here. It's just, it's a very impassioned testimony from a mother from, here she is. I don't know, I'm guessing, we'll try it, we'll see if we can. The audio is not an issue at all, unless you can speak Spanish, although it'd be good to hear her voice. But she's giving very impassioned testimony about a child being held in a, one of those terrible border facilities in the United States. And so the point being here, of anytime you can get, if you're going to be doing testimony, obviously you want somebody who's a great witness. What makes a great witness? And here we'll just open the floor here. Does anybody have, here we'll take one feedback. What would make a great witness, somebody? Anybody just jump in? Are we able to do that? Will that slow us down?
I would say being emotionally invested in the subject itself, therefore being able to do it passionately.
Excellent. Yes.
Personal tie.
Personal tie. Perfect. Yes. Personal, emotional. Yes. Why does that make a good witness? What about those two things makes somebody a good witness, though?
You believe.
That's right. That's right. They're not just some hired gun. The legislature, the Congress, whatever, is just running over with hired guns, right? Well, this is somebody who's taken their time, like you all. They're volunteering their time. They're very credible. They're passionate. They're doing this for the right reasons. They're not collecting a paycheck or some client paying them a bunch of money to go testify, right? So those are some of the best witnesses. But we've kind of fast forwarded here, sort of a climax, right? Very dramatic to have testimony. And so I want you to, that is certainly a tip, to surround yourself with very effective messengers. And there is a place for emotion, absolutely. But before you get to that emotion, I want to talk about what I call Operation War Room. And I'm sorry for the militaristic reference here, but it's just I think it's an effective one. So what is a war room, somebody? W-A-R, war room.
Where you strategize.
Strategize, exactly. And so you've got, what are some things you would be talking about as you go into battle? In this instance, you're going to go lobby, you're going to go testify, you're going to build support, including build support with people who are, lawmakers, agency people, mayor, whoever, who may be opposing you, or, just on the bubble, they don't really know. So what are some things you would strategize about? War room, what are you strategizing?
Your facts and your plan of attack.
Excellent. Yes. Yes. And what was something I referenced a couple minutes ago about the Nextel firefighter clip? Not about the clip itself, but about our technical difficulty. What did I say? To be prepared for what?
Any contingency.
That's right. You want to, in that war room and you're planning, you not only want to talk about, oh, this is going to be great. This is how we're going to win. It's all positive. You're going to also talk about anything that can go wrong, right? What could be a problem? What are the slings and arrows that are going to come after us? Like June Lucas, she had to sit down, and she and the other Mothers Against Drunk Driving had to think about, they would be asked questions like, I've never heard of this problem. Oh, come on, this isn't that serious. Oh, come on. Everybody has a little nip now and then. You're all exaggerating this. And they say, no, or not. And I say, prove it. And so how would you prove drunk driving is a problem in 1982?
Facts and figures.
There you go. Exactly. If you've got the real facts and figures, that answers the question. But then you've still got, then they would hear things like, well, you're the only people complaining. It's only this mad mothers. I've never heard of you before. I don't know. You're a couple shrill ladies or something, well-intended, but I don't think this is really that widespread. I've never heard of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers before. What would you do to say against that? Or what could you do?
Testimony of witnesses.
Yes, and especially,
Bring
let's
them-
say, okay,
And
let's
bring
say
them
I'm in,
all in to the legislation.
what-
All the moms in their t-shirts.
that's great, absolutely. Especially moms from their own district, of course. That's going to be most compelling. Okay, let's say now you've got their attention, and the lawmakers are like, oh yeah, I think I can see there's a lot of upset mothers. Yeah, I can see that. And then you might hear, well, it's not really going to be effective. I mean, we can pass a law saying you got to spend 3 days in jail or 3 days in alcohol rehab class. That's really not going to work, is it? So what would you do about that? Well, if it were something tried,
Statistics.
more statistics, did you say?
I guess I would say if you think laws don't work, what are you doing sitting here passing them?
I love it. That's great. Absolutely. That's great. And it is legitimate to say you can have all the laws you want, but if they're not enforced, they won't be effective. That's true, but it starts with having a law, and then, of course, you want to push to get it passed. But the point is, in your war room, you want to be thinking about, this is where you do want all the naysayers, all the skeptics, where we humans run the gamut, right? From being optimists to being split middle to outright skeptics and pessimists. And there is a place, we want the pessimists now in this strategizing, in this war room, to share why it can't work, or why we won't be able to pass it, or who is going to be a problem and what their problems will be. So do this war room, anticipate what will the attacks be. Put yourselves in the shoes of all the opponents, restaurant, bar, industry, the defense lawyers. There were judges and prosecutors that didn't want to change the law either. So put yourselves in their shoes. think about all the attacks that are going to come at you and what are your answers going to be? What are your tactics will be? One of the things was she didn't know boo about the state house, and a lot of the leadership was just starting across Ohio and the country. Mothers going drunk drivers, they hadn't. Why would they? Why would they get in the car and go to Columbus, Ohio, to the state house? And guess who? Here's a trivia question. In 1982, I'm trying to think if he was. John Kasich was in the Ohio Senate. He had served just 2 years, and he got elected to Congress. He struck gold even in a big Democrat wave of 1982, and he got elected to Congress. And there was another senator, state senator, who chaired the Judiciary Committee and who helped pass this law on drunk driving in Ohio. He is a famous politician in Ohio. He is
Sherrod Brown.
Who do you think it was?
Sherrod Brown?
Not Sherrod Brown. He's Republican.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. He's from over near Xenia, Ohio, over that way. He's a very powerful politician in Ohio.
DeWine.
Mike DeWine. How about that? So the Mad Mothers were able to help. He was a county prosecutor, and they were able to help recruit him to be one of their champions. And so one of the big lessons here is do planning, do your war room. By the way, I guess there's no hope on the video clips. Is that right, Nazik?
No, we've got them. Do you want me to play this one with Mother?
Yes, let's go ahead and play that one. That's a great clip. Please do. And just, play it about 2 minutes or so. We don't need the whole thing of it necessarily. No audio. I cannot hear it.
Oh, crap.
All right.
Can you all not hear it?
I can just barely hear it.
Unfortunately, that's the most it'll give me.
All right, we're going to go to, let's talk about.
There is subtitles if you'd like me to continue with it.
Not necessary. Just the point was she was very emotional, but I mean, she's very credible and just a fantastic witness. It was just heartbreaking to listen to her, a mother talking about their child being held in one of these, being detained. I don't know if it was in a cage or not, but and she was yes, she was emotional, but she also had prepared her script. She was reading from her script. She was making eye contact, just a compelling, every eye in the room you can tell is on her, and everybody's listening and riveting and looking at her. And by the way, when you do testify, yes, it's good to have your written testimony, but I really urge you when you get up there to talk, you say, hey, introduce yourselves and then say, I want to make 3 points today or 4 points or whatever, and go through those and don't be looking down at your testimony. When you're looking down, reading word for word, many of them are not going to pay attention to you. They're going to be looking down. They're going to be reading last night's baseball score or stock quotes or something. It's the witnesses that can maintain eye contact and can summarize their points right from the get-go and then fill those in without looking down. I would typically scribble down my main points on a piece of paper on an index card, and I would glance down at those so-called trigger words. A trigger word is something that will prompt you, to make your point, to recite whatever it is, to fill out that. And I would try to quickly go through those, not speaking a mile a minute, but I try to summarize them. But then I try to look around the room, and a tip is I read this once, is to look one person, not necessarily every single person up there on that committee, but several of them, and go eyeball to eyeball. And it also helps you get relaxed, that you're talking to just one person at a time. You're not talking to 20 people all at once. I want you to know, anybody ever see this goofy old movie with Don Knotts called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken? It's a silly movie way back 1950s, and there's a scene where he gets up to speak in the town gazebo July 4th or something to give a speech, and his his papers flutter away and he's just all nervous. And that was sort of me, believe it or not, the first time I ever spoke publicly. And the more you do it, the more you get relaxed. I'm very comfortable now, but I'm telling you, I was sweating bullets the first couple times. But you do it, and people know you're a volunteer, you're a citizen. They don't expect you to be some right out of central casting out of Hollywood your first couple times. So keep at it. You'll get better at it. Okay, now we're going to go to, let's say you've got a meeting with an official, with the director of a department. It doesn't have to be a lawmaker or whatever. And you've got your game plan. You've got a good crew with you of different people. They're going to make different points, and they're from different parts of your community. And you go in and you get the 2-minute warning. And they say, walk with me down to the garage. I got to get my car immediately. I got the governor calling me in 2 minutes. So you're going to have to speed this up. What do you do? Somebody give me some idea. What do you do when you've just learned you had a half hour scheduled and you're down to 2 minutes? Somebody help me out here.
Hit them with the most cogent, potent points that you've developed that you were going to spend a half hour on.
Absolutely. Boil it down.
Mm-hmm.
What's something in addition to your boiling it down in 2 minutes of talking, what else can you, I don't want to give away the answer here, you probably know it. What else can you do in addition to 2 minutes of conversation?
Tell them why it matters to them.
That's right.
Finish with your conclusion. I mean, skip right to the conclusion with the most salient part.
That is perfect. That is, by the way, Nazik, let's show the next video clip, even though it'll only be visual. There'll be some important tips from it. And Nazik, I forgot to tell you on that next video clip, you want to go way down, back toward almost to the end of that clip. If you're able to pull that up. If you're able to pull it up. What's something else here? In addition to talking, what can you do in that 2 minutes? Or what can you do, make sure you do somewhere in that 2 minutes?
Leave them with some brief written information.
Perfect. Perfect. Always have some, I try to always have it in writing. And put yourselves in their shoes. They're seeing 25, 30 people a day. They literally can't hold it all in their head, right? Why would you expect them to be better than you on that? Try to have it written down. Try to leave them with something. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is it okay to ask to reschedule?
That is absolutely, yes, it is. And I'll give you a tip here. I love home cooking. I would so much rather meet with them or in a restaurant in their district than to meet with them in their office. Why do I say that, do you suppose?
Because you're more relaxed and casual.
Perfect. You're more relaxed. What else is better about it?
You've got them for a decent length of time.
You have their complete attention.
Yes. Yes. You don't have staffers running around, lobbyists walking in, other lawmakers, officials that they're going to want to chit chat with. You've got their full attention.
Mm-hmm. I worked for the state of Ohio for 30 years. I know how this works.
Also, it's just so much more convenient, right? You don't have to drive all the way to Columbus or Washington, D.C. or something. They're probably going to know too that you are likely, well, you'll of course want to identify yourself that you live from their district. That they're much more comfortable with that, right? They want to know people that live in their district. Nazik, I don't know if we're able to get that video clip. If not, let's not worry about it.
Which video do you want me to try, Jack?
This is the Woody Allen, Take the Money and Run. And I want you to
I'll give it a try. Where would you like me to go to?
Go to like way toward the end, like maybe a minute or two left. And we won't have audio, but that's okay. There's still some visual here.
I'll start it at like the 3-minute mark.
Go back to 4 minutes. Somebody's asked, what's the protocol? Everybody should pay for their own. Do not offer to pay for the lawmaker or any public official's meal. or drink. Make that very clear, or ask them the protocol. I would always assume that everybody is on their own. Do not have anybody buy that public official there.
No, don't do it. It's considered, almost considered an honorarium.
Yeah, it may be some cities or local jurisdictions, it may be okay. It's just don't even cross the line. Don't even cross the line.
Is this a good spot, Jack?
Sure. Sure. Yes. Seems like I can hear it, but I can't see it. Yeah, it's all right. It'll be funny. So, tell you what, I'll describe. This is a goofy Woody Allen movie, and it's a spoof that he's supposedly some notorious criminal, and there's a scene where he's punished with being put underground and a lid on top that locks. Oh, I don't know what this. It's not this far back. Can you scroll on the bottom there to see? Come down to put your cursor so you can jump around. What we're looking for, he's put in solitary confinement, and to further punish him, you can kill this. Oh, here we go. Okay, now yes. Just stay on this. And there's a funny scene. Here it is. Okay, so he's being put in solitary confinement, and see who they punish him with and put him in here with. There he is. There's an insurance salesman. So he's got to spend the next 2 days, right, in this box with this insurance salesman. So just visually, yeah, this will be the end of this clip. Visually, what do you think, how do you think that lobbyist, okay, stop this. We'll show this one out a little bit. So visually, thank you though. What did you think was not working, probably not to that guy's favor, that insurance salesman? What you could glean from seeing him there. Go ahead, somebody. How did that insurance salesman look? Anybody?
He was going to have a hard task ahead of him because the person he was with had absolutely no interest in buying insurance.
That's probably right. Yes. And how did the insurance salesman look to you?
Somebody has commented slick. Yes,
exactly. Now this is a real advantage the citizen lobbyist has. Yeah, you shouldn't dress like a slob, but they're the politician, the target, the public official sees these hired suits all day long, right? Here you are, what a breath of fresh air. You're a real person from their district. You're a voter. I mean, seriously, you get their attention. And especially if you're portraying you're in touch with tens, hundreds, thousands of other voters, that's really going to get their attention. This salesman was so tenacious. He was all over the Woody Allen there, saying, oh, you look like, you ever thought about insurance? We got a number of great policies, and you look to be about 30 years old. I recommend term life. So he's very presumptuous, but he did, though. He seized the moment. He made sure he sized up, the target. Oh, you're like 30 years old. Here's what I think you'd be interested in. And he did make the ask. He said, would you be interested in this kind of policy? So he was crude, he was slick, but he did some good things. You want to make sure the meeting doesn't end. You got a half-hour meeting, and you've never gotten to the point of what your request is, what your recommendation is, what you're asking them. Don't forget to make the ask. You've got to make sure you make the ask. And it's okay if you want to say it at the very beginning. I would often give this long wind up, like this pitcher, before I even threw the pitch. Well, I'm not sure that was effective. I think it's sometimes better in your very first, you're boiling down your points. We have a problem. Here are some solutions. And we're asking you, will you support us on solution A or B, C? I think that could be very good. They split that out at the very beginning, By the way, here's a question for you. You're in a meeting you've got, let's say, more than yourself there. So you're sitting there waiting for your turn to talk. What can you do to help your team when you're waiting your turn to talk, and let's say you're at their office or you're just meeting with them in person? What's some intelligence you can be gathering, and how can you gather it? Anybody? Especially if you're in their office. Somebody?
Take notes.
Take notes. Perfect. Yes. Don't rely on your memory. Gauge their mood. Absolutely.
Observe very carefully.
Oh, thank you. That's what I was hoping somebody would say. Yes. Well, what are you observing? What are you looking for? What would you make note of while they're talking?
Open body acceptance, or, or they're listening. They're not writing while you're talking.
Okay. And and let's say if they're not listening to you, what could you do?
Tell a joke.
Could be. I love that. That helps. Absolutely. Get their attention back. I love what Amber just said. Did everybody see what she said? Are you there, Amber? Do you want to talk, or do you want to just leave it in writing there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Tell us what you wrote.
Just like photos, degrees, like where they went to school, or certifications, because you want to try to find a connection with them.
And so you're exactly right. So I'm going to ask a stupid question. Why would those things, why are the stuff they put up on their wall, why is that going to help you figure out how to make a connection?
Because you'll know what kind of person they are.
Thank you, Amber.
What they're proud of.
Yeah, and that way you, if it's something they're proud of, it's something they love and enjoy and are interested in. So if you strike up a conversation about that, you have more time with them, more than likely. People need to talk about themselves.
Bingo. Dawn, you had a note on that, and I see Debbie, make a connection. Exactly. We're all human. Don't think that these are, okay, I showed the insurance salesman there, right out of Hollywood casting, right? He's got the dark blue suit and briefcase and all that. Well, most people are not so stereotypical. Don't make assumptions. I love this line of listen for information, not affirmation. What do you think I mean by that? Listen for information.
You seek to gather information that will help you make your request. You seek to find out what the allegiances are of the person you're talking to, and you can deduct from those allegiances what your question would be and how you should behave.
Perfect. And it's a little obtuse, this word affirmation. When I say listen for information, not affirmation, don't be sitting there like, I just know they're going to oppose this. And then as soon as they start talking about, well, I heard that, cancer is not really caused by what you eat. Then you may be sitting there thinking, aha, I knew it. I just knew that son of a gun was going to say that. In fact, what can be useful, you're sitting down with somebody, and I'm not, Alice or Nazik, when you're reading, I'm not reading all of these that are popping up in writing. If you think there's something we should pay attention to, please help me out here.
From Alice Farnia, she says to research legislation sponsored and co-sponsored, praise if you can.
That's great. If you're not talking to somebody, yeah, throw your dog a bone. If there's something nice you can legitimately say, go for it. Don't be sitting there. If you're waiting for the person that you are 100% in line with, they are supporting 100% of the league's policies. That's great. You may want to be moving on to people that spend more time with people that are not 100% aligned with you. And you need to be getting more of those. But don't flush away somebody who's only with you 10% of the time. Don't only embrace the people that are 100% of the time. You need all kind of people. You just never know who is one day going to be with you. And so this listening for information. In fact, what is why could it be good to sit down with somebody who's on the fence or who's outright hostile to you? What could be useful that you could get coming out of that? Even if you didn't change their mind of that person, tell me somebody, why could that still be worth your time?
Because every experience is special. I mean, it's necessary for your growth.
Okay, a little more specific. How so?
I was going to say that it's good that our representative sees our face and sees our face several times, even if it's on a different issue. Because as my state rep says, you must be really invested if you're coming in your own time and you're discussing this in person instead of sending me a form letter. So it's the best thing you can do is just to get yourself in front of their faces.
That's perfect. I hadn't even thought of that one. I love that one. I love that one. There's something else I'm thinking of. And Alice, was there some others?
There are in the chat. There's some great stuff from Michael Barron. We're going to find areas of agreement when we're listening, planting a seed that's going right along with what's said about growth, and then understanding what you're up against.
That's it. That's what I was hoping for. Let them sit there and spool out all their dogma. You want that. You want that. You want to know what is the, if you, I was never in the military, and maybe it's not appropriate, but you want to get intelligence, right? You want to know, what are they thinking? Why are they opposing you on something? And your friends, why are they supporting you? Why would it be good to know, if I'm sitting there, I'm opposing your point of view and I'm telling you why, all the reasons, what good does that do you, somebody?
Prepare
maybe you will
rebuttal.
prioritize other issues, not yours, and maybe you will lessen their opposition.
There you go. They're giving you a roadmap. You've fallen into their battle plan of why they're opposing you. And maybe there's some things on there that are full of hooey, that they've heard this rumor that's malarkey, and you've got the information, the facts, the figures, compelling witnesses, to blow that away. And so you don't want to start interrupting them. So no, you're wrong. Let them go. You're fishing. Let the fish take the bait for a while, right? Let them wear themselves out. Be jotting down all the reasons they're telling you. You could be sitting there steaming and turning red and rolling. Don't roll your eyes. Don't do that. Say, interesting. Just jot it down. They're giving you a roadmap then of how to come back and persuade others, and get them to your point of view. So here, one of the most important things is to shut up and listen. And it is hard to do with a hardcore opponent, and you just want to strangle them or something. The best thing to do is to shut up and listen and let them go and take it down. Just take it down. It could be useful with you for somebody who's on the bubble, who's on the fence, who would be vulnerable to these arguments. And then you can go in and you can preempt, before the other team, the opponents have gotten to them, and bring them along to your side. Let's move along here on, I'm so sorry our video clips aren't working. They would be fun. I would urge everybody to take a look at those later. I think you'll find some fun stuff and some helpful stuff here.
Jack?
Alice, yes, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to let you know that we've got about 12, 13 minutes left.
Okay, great. Let me talk about the political animal here. They put yourselves, here is one of the most important, I should have started this, one of the most important lessons was instructed to me by a fellow man named Joel Bradshaw, who was a fantastic trainer. And he related, early in his career, he was a lobbyist for a teachers union, I think out in Colorado, and his boss was in town. They went to the State House and they sat down like the president of the Senate. And Joel starts in and goes through 15 minutes of facts and figures. And the senator says, well, great, thanks for coming by today. So they walked out of the meeting. Joel's all puffed up and asked his boss, how'd I do? Boss says, well, you have a thorough command of the issue. Of the issues, you are well versed. You can recite any facts and figures. You've got, a quiver full of ammo here, but you made a critical error. Well, what was that? You talked and dominated the entire meeting. You started where you are, Joel, not where they are. The lesson is start where they are, not where you are. What do I mean by start where they are?
Understand their positions, understand their background, understand their history. And that gives you the chance to form empathetic bonds.
That's right. And how do you start where they are? How do you learn? How can you empathize with them?
By asking questions. By asking questions.
That's right. Listen first. I love that, Susan. Exactly. Listen first. Let them talk. Now, beware the yup rule. That's somebody that sits there, yup, well, and they don't give you any feedback, or they dominate, they take over the meeting, and all you hear them talking about Aunt Millie and things that are just not helpful to you. So you've got to, you've got to control, take back the conversation here. Don't let them fully go away and run around the hedge if it's not useful information. But exactly, start where they are. And not only listen to them, when you get some background information on them, talk less, smile more. I like that. Start where they are. What else do I mean by start where they are?
From a knowledge perspective as well?
Yes. And so starting where they are, what's their background? What's their profession? What's their experience? What's their district? Who are their constituents? What are their concerns?
What's their passion?
What's their passion? What's their fears? What's their needs? What's their expectations? Try to put yourselves in their shoes. Try to put yourselves in their shoes. What are they hearing? What are they worried about? What drives them to make their decisions? I know I'm going to try to, there's a video clip you're going to see here. Anybody see the movie Romero? Again, this is going way back like 30 years ago. This is the Archbishop of, what's the matter with me? El Salvador. And this is I guess this was his very last I think homily, and he's exhorting soldiers, the rank and file soldiers that are recruited into the evil junta, the evil government, that's suppressing the rights of average citizens and is harassing and killing average citizens. And in this, this is Hollywood, very dramatized. He talks to these soldiers who you would think are, the arch enemy, right? Well, they're not the generals. And so he's saying, brothers, he's empathizing with them. And he's saying, you are not compelled to follow an unjust order. So he's reasoning with them. And then he says, I order you, stop the oppression. Now, you're not in his position. You're not a person of authority, right? He's the Archbishop of El Salvador of the Catholic Church. You don't have that, but the point is, where did he start? He started where they are. He says, brothers, and he talks about these average citizens. They're just like them, the soldiers, the rank and file. So he's trying to appeal to their hearts, and then he moves to their minds with an appeal to reason. You don't have to follow an unjust law. And then he throws them, the moral argument of here. I order you, stop the oppression. So think about that. He's gone after the heart, after the mind, and a moral or a spiritual need here. Those can all be very powerful. It is this business of persuasion. It is not entirely facts and figures. We've just seen that from the political campaign for president. We've both seen, right? Both candidates making emotional appeals. Yes, there's a raging virus. Yes, there is the economy. deadly serious topics, but there are emotional appeals that go on top of that. You know, it's the heart, it's the mind, it's the soul. Anytime you can get all three of those going for you, that's a heck of a mojo. Let me just pause there and let me take some questions. Alice, help me out here if we get some questions, or anybody.
There aren't any in the chat box right now, folks. If you have a question, you can throw it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and shout it out.
What do you do with someone? What do you do with someone who repeatedly takes a position diametrically opposed to yours, and every time you visit that person, he or she expresses those beliefs in ways that are not to be countermanded by them? In other words, it's a very tough customer.
That is a great question. I'm not sure I can give you the definitive answer. By the way, this is our young cat up here. We call her Babe. One thing is it may be that, you know, you are never going to be able to connect with them. They're going to reject you all the time. Find another, an alternative. Find somebody they do respect. They don't necessarily have to be from the League of Women Voters if they're going to help make your case, right?
Good point. Good point.
And you're sitting there, you're in your office, you see that they went to Heidelberg, or you see they're a member of the Farm Bureau, or I don't know, you know, their office, their memberships that you can find out online. You can, depending on who the public official is, you might be able to find about their background. And now you've got a connection. You know somebody that can go talk with them or can meet with them, or you can point out, you know, you may not be the best. I know I was a terrible messenger a lot of times. They would just dismiss me out of hand. Oh, here comes Jack, comes Mr. Environment. We know what he's going to say. So find somebody else. Find somebody that's going to make a connection. It's a great question.
We have a question, Jack, from Emily Thobe. Suggestions on making connections with legislators in a virtual environment.
Oh, that's a good one. You know, boy, it's been like a lifetime. I left my job 5 years ago, and boy, the virtual emphasis has just increased so much, especially now during the epidemic, of course, the pandemic. Here's one little thing. Don't neglect the United States mail. Boy, email is so efficient. A click of the wrist and boom, I've delivered my message. And I think a lot of times those get dismissed, of course, if they're a form letter or a form email. I remember this has been a long time ago. Yes, email was happening, but this is before so much of the virtual and social media of today. I went to meet with a lawmaker, and I just had spoken before some sportsmen the weekend before, and I took with me just these homemade, from construction paper virtually. I forget what they call it. It's heavier than, you know, cardstock, I guess. It was this gaudy yellow. And when I met these sportsmen, I told them about an issue, and they filled out. They just hand wrote. These weren't form. They hand wrote. And I walked in this lawmaker's office, and there they are sitting on their desk. So this homemade, you know, simplified. This can be one little tactic to break through the virtual world. Don't neglect postcards. I love postcards. They're so weird. People always, you get your mail. You don't even have to open it. You know, people will always open a piece, always look at a postcard. It doesn't have to be your handmade. You can get some from your hometown or whatever. Next question.
Michael Barron has a great comment. Make friends with the legislative assistants.
That's right. That is so true. You know, those are the gatekeepers, those staffers. Try to ask them, you know, hey, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? I always try to do that. Everybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, everybody responds to that. You're breaking down. You know, you walk in, everybody, we all do it. Or maybe, boy, there's more fair-minded people on this phone call than me. Probably are a lot of them. But we all carry around these stereotypes. Oh boy, I'm going to go meet with this person from this party, or boy, they came from a city, or they come from a rural area. Oh, I read that they're a salesman. Oh, she is a scientist. We immediately bring up these stereotypes. So when you start to ask people, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? You know, what do you do? What'd your parents do? You just break those things down. What else we got here? Thank you for my time. Somebody wants me to stop talking. I get it. Alice, anything else we should know here?
We have a great comment from Kathleen Ross saying that she was fortunate enough to accompany University Lobbyist Development Officer, and it was amazing how he would start off each meeting asking about children and grandchildren, really making that personal connection.
Personal, I love that. Personal connection. You're then breaking down this, you know, stereotype of, oh, you're this good government, goody two shoes, you know. You're this strict-laced, right? But when you start asking about their family, about, you know, where'd they grow up, you're just gonna break down those stereotypes. They're gonna like you more. And let's face it, liking people gets you halfway home. I want to make sure I do say there's not a thing wrong with the world. In fact, there's a lot right when you say, I don't know, Senator, I don't know, Mayor, I don't know, Director, and then I will try to find out and get back to you. They don't expect you to know everything. What they don't want is for you to make up something or for you to speculate, right? It's much better. Then when you do get back with them with some good information, they're going to really appreciate that.
I have one more pointed question.
Yes.
Are lobbyists able to visit legislators in person? Are lobbyists allowed to attend legislative sessions yet?
I don't know the state legislature. I'm sorry to say, I'm not certain. You could call the Ohio House, the Ohio Senate, call that lawmaker's office. I don't know the latest. I know some time ago, months ago, they were allowing in-person testimony, but I think they would have, you know, you couldn't sit, they had to have social distancing in the committee room, and sometimes they would hold people in a holding pen in an adjoining room, you know, maybe bring in one by one at a time testify. But you could find out. I'm not certain the answer. Do we need the ability to do virtual testimony? Again, I just don't know, but House, the Senate, Congress, your City Hall will certainly know the answer to that. Better to find out than before you traipse there. And you know what, better yet is to try to do some of this home cooking. Try to meet with your lawmakers at home. You may be like, well, that's fine, but that's only one member of the committee. Agreed. I'm not saying don't go and testify in person, but I'm saying try to meet with that lawmaker in person. Try to do that at home if you can.
Okay.
Hey, I've loved this, everybody, and I'm still here. If anybody wants to stick around, or Alice, you're gonna have to pull the plug on me.
That's great. That's great. That's kind of what I was going to say. If you have any further questions, you can put them in chat. You can send them directly. You know what? I'm going to throw my email up in chat real fast. If folks have follow-up questions, you can send them directly to me. Jack, I will get them to you. Nazik's having a little more technical difficulties, so she wishes everybody a good afternoon. And here comes my email address. And thanks to everybody today for taking the time. Jack Shaner, thanks so much for taking the time with us this afternoon.
Thanks, Jack.
Pleasure.
And I would be delighted to come back. And, you know, shame on me. I neglected to start where you are. I didn't ask you what are your big issues here coming up this fall or this in this lame duck session. What are they, by the way, real quickly?
I don't know. I'm the assistant that everybody wants to make friends with. But we'll ask that of Nazik, and then we'll be sure to follow up.
Great.
Redistricting came right up in the chat box.
You want to come back and do another one of these, you know, in a week or two or something? I'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining. And hey, Jack, I wanna say hi to you for a little second. I'm going to